Hey everyone, this is Dr. Gonzalez over at Performance Place, and I guess today the topic is just, I just had a couple things on my mind. One of them is the future of healthcare, or at least the future of sports medicine, rehab, physical therapy, sports chiropractic, and so on. I've noticed that I usually give people a lot of credit in regards to what I think they're capable of. I personally think there's a few things that, as patients and as athletes, you should be able to have a basic knowledge about, or at least curiosity. And curiosity would at least drive the quest and thirst for knowledge of it, but you should know the basics of the body. And there might be, what is a tendon? What is a muscle? What's a ligament? What's a joint? How mechanically the body works, not even systemically. And by systemically, I mean, say, endocrine system. And the endocrine system is where basically chemicals will change what your body's doing, and it's a little bit harder to understand. So, again, that's a little bit harder, but mechanically speaking, I think everybody understands how a wheel works. Everyone understands how, if you're jacking up a car, then if you use a longer lever or pipe rather than a shorter one, it's a little easier. So mechanics, I think, are a little bit easier for people to understand, and the body is basically a machine. It's mechanics, it's levers, it's basically that in so many words, or at least the musculoskeletal system is, and that's what a lot of sports injuries are. Being able to understand physics and just the reasoning behind certain things breaking down because they're overloaded should be things that people understand. And what I'm getting at with this is that I've spent the early part of my career working on people, I call it. I've spent time educating, but at the same time, where the money's at and where a lot of insurance will pay us to do work is not the educational part and not the administrative part of showing and talking someone through how to self-manage, but it's doing hands-on, and I think that's completely wrong. So they will typically pay us to do things like manual therapies, adjustments, muscle work, exercise therapy, or rehab. And I personally think there's a lot of things that patients can do on their own if they had a good understanding of the knowledge of how the body works. Let's take stretching, for example. And this, I'm going to get very... I might get into a little bit more specifics of some of this stuff, but for the most part, I'm going to try to stay very general. And again, through this podcast, I want to make sure that everyone understands that I'm not trying to offend anybody if I end up name dropping on certain things or professions and so on. I'm not meaning it with ill intent. It's just sometimes I get rambling and names fall out. But either way, let's just go with stretching. So stretching, I think everyone pretty much knows roughly how to stretch their hamstring, or at least should understand what their hamstring is. So if someone were to come in and tell me that they have issues with hamstring length, and actually we confirm that there is an issue there, then I should be able to tell them, look, let's stretch your hamstring, let's strengthen your core, let's strengthen your hip, and then they should know the basics of that. So the hard part is that I'm always at the assumption that people know how to stretch their hamstring, or they should be able to at least go onto some public forums. Hopefully a lot of them are right, not all of them are. YouTube's a great example, and YouTube, there's a lot of great stretches for the hamstring, and majority of them, if collectively put together, I'd say majority of them are probably pretty safe. A lot of them are put on by other healthcare professionals. I put a lot of them on. I know there's a lot of great PT clinics that put things on, as well as personal trainers. A lot of them are good, but sometimes all the patient or athlete needs is to be able to be guided in the right direction. That's where the educational part comes in. So here's where I see healthcare going, at least in regards to sports injuries, and I hope that it goes this way. But at the same time, there's a problem with accountability sometimes. Ideally, someone should come in. They should say, look, I had this issue in my leg, or it might be my hamstring, quote unquote. So we take a look at it, we figure out maybe it is a hamstring, maybe it's radiculopathy or a nerve issue, maybe it's something else. But either way, for the most part, we should be able to say with beyond reasonable doubt, it's probably this one. Let's try this type of rehab or strengthening or stretching program or medication or whatever it might be. And they should be able to do a lot of this at home. If I told someone that they should start planking, they should know how to do it. If I told them how to bridge, or if I told them to bridge, they should be able to know how to do that. These are the things that people should know. Okay? Gosh, I don't know, might have got off topic. I don't know where we went with that, but let's see. Where are we at? Anyways, the future of healthcare. So I think it should be based upon us instructing you of what to do and then you checking back in. Okay? Again, starting back to where I did in the beginning, I give people way too much credit and I tell them, hey, we should do this, this, and this, but also it comes down to accountability, and that's, I think, where the check-ins come in play. I think everybody pretty much knows the rough basics of how to eat better or how to lose weight and so on, but the problem is a lot of people don't, and that's why a lot of Americans are overweight, and there is no sexy answer to it. It is what it is. Eat healthy, eat a lot of greens, eat vegetables, exercise, drink water. I mean, those are the rough basics of it. Okay? Accountability is a huge thing, and that's why a lot of people don't have success with their injuries as well as dietary changes, because they can't be accountable for themselves. Either they're self-defeating, or they just are self-doubting, or they just end up not doing what they're supposed to do. When it comes to the future of sports medicine, we should be able, as healthcare providers, just say, look, let's do these things. Check back in 2 weeks. Call me if there's an issue. Do you understand the pathology? Do you understand the mechanics of what's happening? And if you do, a lot of times you'll succeed. Okay? I think about what I would do if I had an injury, and I've had enough of them now. I know what I'm supposed to do, and where I fall short is typically accountability. I work in an office where I have a lot of rehab equipment, and a lot of times at the end of the day, I just want to leave. I shouldn't. But what I should do is I should have an accountability partner. I know that when I had a workout partner, I had more gains and better strength training sessions than when I don't. Accountability is a huge thing. It's a huge thing in regards to systemic disease, diabetes, heart conditions, smoking, alcoholism, sports injuries, and everything. So I hope this was helpful at least. I know I'm ranting this time, and I actually didn't have any. I don't have a script. I don't have an outline or anything for this. It's just mainly kind of going off of what I'm feeling at the time. And I know as probably other healthcare professionals, or at least other sports medicine injury professionals probably feel as well, it's hard to care about people's injuries more than they care about themselves, or at least we feel like they might not be trying. I want to fully invest in people's cases, in their injuries, but at the same time, if we give them, and sometimes this is why people give them, or give patients small things to do, such as bridging or planking or stretching or whatever it might be. It's not that we think that it'll be the end-all fix. It's just to make you do something and get you in the habit. And a lot of times we have to treat the individual or the psychology of the individual first before we can actually hammer home what is important in regards to mechanically fixing them. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I'll stop right there because I know I'm going to get tangented off. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything at all, please email me. That's seb@p2sportscare.com. Again, seb as in Seb at p2sportscare.com. And it's really easy for me to do some of these non-scripted ones on the fly when I don't have a focal point. And as long as you guys don't mind my tangenting around, just give me a small focal point, and I'll hammer it. So I'll talk to you guys soon.